Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 5th Chino City Council meeting. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, will be by Paul Rodriguez. Councilman Rodriguez, please, would you start us off? Thank you, Paul. Well, okay. First, Mayor Ayala couldn't be here tonight, so I'm filling in one of my infrequent council meetings as to run the meeting. So the first thing up in our presentation tonight is the Mayor's Home Beautification Award for February, and I'd like to call up Tony Fiandaca. Tony here? Oh, great. Did I pronounce that right? All right. Well, got lucky. Come on up. Okay. Congratulations for the Mayor's Home Beautification Award. And first off, we have for you is a certificate that puts your address on Aurelia Drive. And that's from the Mayor and the City Council. And we have some more things to give you. Next up, I also have a certificate from Supervisor Kurt Hagman for your Home Beautification Award also from the supervisor. And let's see, we have a picture up on the screen of your lovely home. Here's a picture that we took also, same picture. And then we have a couple of city pins for you. So hang on, we got more stuff for you here. And we've got a couple of city pens for you, so you can write whatever you want to write. And then last but not least, we have the Mayor's Home Beautification Awards for February of 19 signed for your front yard. So wow, congratulations! So who does all the work around the house?
Who does all the work?
Yeah.
My wife does inside. I do outside.
Okay. See, so you do well. The outside really is really beautiful, and the city really appreciates your beautifying our city by making your house look so great. So we really and I know it helps the neighborhood. The neighbors, they see your house, they want to do that. So thank you for being. Want to say anything or shout out anything to anybody?
I love Chino. It's a great city.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
You lived here a long time?
40 years.
How many?
40.
That's a long time. 40 years. How about that? Let's give them a hand, okay? Congratulations. You bet. Okay, so the first item is to report out of our closed session, and I'm going to call upon our attorney, Fred Galante. Can you talk about the actions that we did?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council and audience. The City Council met in closed session and discussed the following items. The first item on the agenda under the closed session portion of the agenda is a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the case entitled Chino Basin Municipal Water District versus City of Chino, and additional parties. City Council received an update from Attorney Jimmy Gutierrez, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. Item number 2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the case entitled John Weekly versus City of Chino and additional parties. City Council received an update, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken. The City Council then met on the last item. The next item on the agenda has not yet been discussed, as City Council will recess back into closed session following the open session and address that item, but there was a discussion on the very last item, the second property under real property negotiations listed on the closed session agenda, identified as 6642 Eisenhower Court, with the negotiating party being Bank of New York Mellon. City Council received an update, provided direction, no further reportable action was taken, and as I mentioned, we will reconvene back into closed session after the open session to address the last item, and thereafter I'll provide the report on that final item. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Fred. Okay, next up is, let's see, public announcements. So first, before I make the public announcements, do we have any students in the audience tonight? Raise your hand if you guys are students. Okay, and we need you to come up here and tell us what's your name, what your name is, what school you go to, what class, and if you're going to come on up, this is your chance to be on TV to prove to your teacher you were here. Come on, let's go, guys. Your name, school?
My name is Andres Morales from Don Antonio Lugo High School,
Okay.
from Mr. Pope's class.
All right, government?
And, yes, government.
All right, thank you.
I'm David Delgado, also from Lugo. I'm also from Mr. Pope's government class. Shout out to Mama.
All right, there you go.
I am Ethan Ravenstein, also from Mr. Pope's government's class at Don Lugo.
Very good, thank you.
I'm Isaac Jacobs, also from sixth period, Mr. Pope class since his last year as a government teacher.
Really?
So I give him that props of his last year, which is my senior year. It's amazing.
Okay, maybe.
I'm Emily Garibay, also from Don Lugo, and from Mr. Pope's government class.
All right.
I'm Betsy Caballero, also from Don Lugo, and I'm from Ms. Carpentier's class.
Simon Aceto from Don Lugo and also Mr. Pope's U.S. government class.
I'm Anthony Romero. I'm also from Mr. Pope's government class. I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Rafael Venegas. I go to Don Lugo, also Mr. Pope's government class.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Eric Lopez. I'm also in Mr. Pope's government class. Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys. Thanks for coming out to the council meeting. Mr. Pope's kind of getting all his students here to the Chino council meetings. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I just have a few public announcements here. First, I'd like to everyone to note City Hall is going to be closed on Monday, February 18th in observation of President's Day. City Hall will reopen the following day, Tuesday, February 19th at 7:30 a.m. Also, I want to remind everybody about a couple of events coming up in the city. First, on Saturday, March the 2nd, the Chino Youth Museum will be holding its 9th annual Derriere 5K, 10K fun run at Ayala Park on Edison Avenue. As always, the event is inclusive of all ages and abilities. The kids run, which is a quarter-mile long, for kids 8 and under. We'll start at 8 a.m. when the 5 and 10K will start at 8:15. All those who registered before Sunday, February 24th, will receive a $5 discount on the race. They would like to participate. If you would like to register online, please visit, do we have it up on the screen, the website? I don't see it. It's www.active.com/Chino-CA. For questions or in-person registration, please call the Chino Youth Museum at 909, I think that number's up there, 334, maybe, 3270. Also, please join us Saturday, March 16th on the City Hall lawn for our annual Cultural Palooza event from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Here, all participants can learn and enjoy the various and rich cultures that make up our community. There'll be numerous performances, activities, retail booths, food booths for everyone to enjoy. For more information, please contact the Carolyn Owens Community Center at 909-334-3258. All right, now is the time for public comments. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the City Council about subjects that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Due to council policy and Brown Act requirements, action will not be taken on any issues not on the agenda. Just want to remind everybody any of the speakers have no more than 5 minutes in which to address the council. All right, first I'd like to call up John Matta from Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley, and for our invocation. At this time, I'd like to invite anyone who'd like to join us in the invocation to please stand.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, City Attorney, and City Manager. Please let us pray. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and for the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us act with character and conviction. Help us listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with love and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority and to love the people of the city of Chino. Guide us to be leaders of your people. Help us to see the humanity and dignity even with those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence of your creation deserves. And finally, Lord, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human persons. We ask this as your children, confident in your goodness and love. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay. This is the time for, okay, we have some requests to speak this evening. First off, let's have, I had one here. I think it was Melissa Campani from Supervisor Hagman's office.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Howie and council members, staff, and community members. My name is Melissa, and I am here representing York County Supervisor Kurt Hagman, who does have some important information that he would like to share. Right now, Prado Regional Park is going through a master plan workshop, and there was one held last week in Chino Hills, and let me tell you, it was a wonderful program. It was very informative, and the county did a very nice job entertaining children so the adults could hear what was going on, and a good place for people to leave their suggestions for this beautiful piece of land. We are going to be having the next workshop coming up April the 6th, which is a Saturday this time, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will be held at Chaffey College Chino Community Center, 5890 College Park Avenue, and that is, of course, in the beautiful city of Chino. We appreciate community support and look forward to hearing suggestions and ideas from the community on what they would like to see at their beautiful new Prado Park. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. Next, I have, looks like Dwayne Hardley. Come up and speak.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Howie, council members, and fellow residents of the city of Chino. I'm here with regard to concerns regarding the use of land in our city. Already, during a planning committee meeting last year, there was approval for a variance for a sign on off of Chino Avenue at the Animal Hospital for that exceeded the pre-existing general plan restrictions of 25 feet, and I think it was increased by like 3 times the amount that was in the city plan. I'm concerned because there's an upcoming proposal off of Chino Avenue, just east of the 71 freeway, to convert the land there from county unincorporated area to part of Chino. The design by the developer to convert that land is to convert that land that's in a residential rural area into a multi-story convalescent hospital, which would definitely change the feel and the makeup of the community. It wasn't the community that we moved into with my family. That's not the area that our neighbors have moved into. We're on horse property. We've got a couple of acres. Some of our fellow neighbors have larger properties than that, and we're concerned about the density issue in that area. And we just hope that you would express a renewed commitment to adhering to the general plan of the city of Chino, and that if there's going to be changes that are as extreme as this proposal would entail, that it would be put forth to the voters and wouldn't be allowed just to be pushed through for the convenience of a developer through the variance process. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else wishing to address the city council at this time? Okay. Seeing none? All right. We'll move on to the consent calendar. This time, members of the public may present testimonies as to why an item should be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion. Unless a member of the public or city council requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar, all items will be acted upon as a whole and by one vote. Okay, anybody wishing to make any comments or pull any items? No?
Yeah, I do.
You want to pull an item?
Yeah, I need to pull 5, 9, and 10.
Okay. Let me circle those. 5, 9, and 10. Okay. Do I have a motion for the rest of the calendar? Okay. Anybody want to second that? Okay. So we have a motion from Councilmember Hargrove and second by Paul Rodriguez. And it passes 4 with one being absent. Okay. All right, let's move on to number 5. Okay. Eminent domain appropriation for Pine Avenue right-of-way acquisition.
Question, or you just want to report?
Yeah. What's your?
Yeah, do we have to move to start that out, or do we just continue talking?
No, go ahead if you have a question. This is pertaining to.
Yeah, I just, Matt, if you could, yeah, I just want you to explain, I know that this was prior to me being on the council, a significant amount of money. I just want to make sure everyone understands what's going on in terms of that eminent domain proceedings.
Right.
So
this matter involves, there's a property owned by the Bartholomews, which is located just north of the women's prison. The city is in the process of widening Pine Avenue, and the goal is to widen it so that we'll have 2 lanes in each direction. In order to do that, we need to acquire some of the frontage along the property, the Bartholomew property. It's roughly about 8 acres, roughly about 30 feet in from the road, all along the frontage of the property. This action right here is essentially, we had an appraisal, and this is the appraised value, and basically we're placing the $348,000 in an escrow account, but we continue to have ongoing dialogue with the Bartholomew family.
yeah, and that's just what I want to confirm, is that this is the next step in that eminent domain proceedings. However, it's not as if we're ultimately deciding now that this money is being utilized to.
Well, I think
we're still having negotiations.
Correct. The Bartholomews have actually gone out and got their own appraisal. They were supposed to submit that appraisal to us by the end of the year. We haven't received it yet, but they're still gathering information. We had a meeting with the Bartholomews about 2 weeks ago. Our engineer that's designing that project is continuing to have ongoing dialogue. There is some discussion about some wells on the property site, but we are going to continue to negotiate, but this is basically the first step. And eventually, should we not be able to come up with an agreeable term, then we would start with those proceedings.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is very important. Pine Avenue gets widened, especially for the residents of the preserve, and even for Eastvale residents also. So, like, any other comments on this item? Entertain a motion. Okay, it's moved by Councilmember Hargrove, second by Councilmember Rodriguez, and the vote is 4 yes. It passes with 1 absent. Okay. Now we move on to number 9.
So number 9 is, this came before the planning commission when I was a planning commissioner, so I just want to announce that I'm going to abstain from that. Yeah.
Sure, not a problem.
Still got enough here to
Okay.
go forward. So
Okay.
thanks.
All right. Entertain them. Anybody else any other council members want to talk about this one item? If not, entertain a motion. Okay, you can abstain. There you go. Okay, and the votes are 3 approved. We have 3 yeses, 0 noes, and 1 absent, and 1 abstention. That was a lot. Okay, and it passes.
If we could announce who made The motion and the second.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it was made by, I believe it was made, motion was made by myself, Tom Howie, and second by Councilmember Lucio. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not on the screen. Okay, now to number 10.
Okay, lastly, let's see, again, on the planning commission at the time of approval and recommendation to the council, last meeting I abstained from that, so I'll be abstaining again.
Okay, all right. Any other comments from council members? Okay, yeah, well, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, and it is moved by Councilmember Lucio, second by Councilmember Rodriguez. It's 3 yes, 1 absent, 1 abstention. Okay, and it passes. All right. Moving on to public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to start off with a staff report by our city attorney, Fred Galante.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council and audience. The item before the council is the proposed introduction of an amendment to the municipal code at section 19.06.040, subdivision A. The nature of this proposed amendment is to specify that private streets and single-family residential zones will not be authorized beyond any authorizations that occurred prior to January 1st, 2019. And the city's code currently states that private streets are authorized in various zones except for single-family residential zones. The nature of this proposed amendment is to address the fact that some authorizations have occurred in the past for private streets and single-family residential areas. So this ordinance essentially ratifies that those prior actions, but clarifies that no further private streets will be authorized in single-family residential zones. With that, I'm happy to go into more detail or answer any questions about the draft ordinance.
Okay. Any council members have a question on this item? No? I'll invite the public to speak. Anybody from the public like to address this item? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Larry. I did have a card for you. We have Larry Dauma coming up.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I'd like to ask you to please pass this ordinance. With the private streets, they're not private at all. They're basically public streets, but because they're private, the police department can't write a ticket for anybody that's illegally parked. So that's why I'd recommend that you pass it.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Close the public hearing. And does any council members have any further questions? Okay.
So I just want to clarify what he believes to be true. Is it my understanding that he believes that we've approved these and they're going to somehow convert to public? Because that's not the case, correct?
No.
That's not the case. To the extent they've been formally approved by the city, they would remain private streets. But after the beginning of this year, no further authorizations would be allowed.
Okay. What about?
And I should also say that regardless of those approvals, any such streets have to otherwise meet your standards for streets, including but not limited to ADA standards.
What about street sweeping on those private streets?
That's sometimes done by contract, whether they have their own services or they either enter into assessment district area, or I'm not sure as to each particular neighborhood whether they have particular arrangements. I'd probably have to defer to your staff on those
Okay.
details.
Well, it's important that we keep our streets clean, for sure.
Question would be, so if that's the case, then the city would take the responsibility of cleaning the streets and the fiscal maintenance.
If they're public streets, we certainly would be sweeping them.
For public streets,
So the
absolutely.
cost would go to the city.
Yes, but that's part of our contract with Waste Management. They
Yeah.
provide the streets.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Not, we'll call for a motion. Okay.
And before the announcement, if I could read the title of the ordinance.
Certainly, go ahead.
Thank you. Before the council is ordinance number 2019-002, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino amending subsection 19.06.040A of the Chino Municipal Code, clarifying the prohibition regarding maintaining private streets within single-family residential developments in the city. Reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
Okay, I'm waiting for one more vote. And there it is. We have the motion. I should have read that earlier. Can you tell me who the motion?
Councilmember Hargrove moved, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Howie.
Okay. Do I have to announce that? It was by Hargrove, second by myself, Tom Howie, and the vote is 3 yes and 1 no. Okay, from Rodriguez. Okay, and of course, 1 absent. All right, moving right along. Number 12, new business. Monte Vista Park Restroom and Shade Structure Improvements Project PK 183. Additional appropriation, award of contract, approval of purchase order, and contract amendment. Monte Vista Park Restroom and Shade Structures Improvement Project. Additional appropriation, award of contract. I've already read that. Staff report from Carolyn Balser, Project Manager. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Howie and members of the council. The current fiscal year budget provides funding for the Monte Vista Parks Improvement Project. The project will consist of the demolition of the existing medical clinic building and support structures and will be replaced with a prefabricated restroom building. A new shade shelter will be installed adjacent to the splash pads, the park splash pad, providing a covered area with picnic tables, barbecue, and trash receptacles. The new improvements will also include accessibility upgrades to the path of travel throughout the park and parking lot improvements to ensure compliance with current American with Disabilities Act standards. The current project budget has a shortfall budget of $174,135 due to more than anticipated accessibility upgrades and the cost of the restroom. Also included as part of this project was developing a master plan for the future installation of a new splash pad. Staff applied for a land and water conservation grant, but unfortunately did not receive funding. The existing splash pad has fallen into disrepair and is in need of replacement. The splash pad improvements will include the replacement of the existing equipment and the installation of a new above-ground equipment enclosure. Additional work will include the installation of seat wall and wrought iron fencing. Replacing the splash pad in conjunction with this project will complete all of the park improvements at one time, so as there is no potential of damaging any new improvements already completed, and it will also avoid a second closure of the park. It will also ensure the splash pad doesn't fail during the peak season and will bring the splash pad up to the current county health department standards and accessibility requirements. The splash pad and additional parking lot upgrades were included with the notice inviting bids for this project as additive bid items numbers 1 and 2 to determine the cost for the project. The notice inviting bids was published in the Chino Champion and on Planet Bids. On January 24th, 2019, 10 bids were accepted electronically. Staff reviewed the cost for the splash pad and found it to be reasonable. The upgrades for the remainder of the parking lot will not be completed as part of this project, but will be completed with the right-of-way improvements at a later date. On January 24th, 2019, staff met with the Council Infrastructure Committee to discuss funding options for the inclusion of the splash pad with this project. The committee supports replacing the splash pad, and staff has identified funding sources. At this time, staff is requesting the following items. Award a contract to Micon Construction Incorporated of Placentia, California, in the amount of $992,353 and authorization to spend up to $99,236 for project contingencies. In an effort to optimize financial resources, the splash pad equipment and equipment enclosure is being purchased through a cooperative purchasing agreement through a competitive bid process direct from the manufacturer, Miracle Playground Sales. The city attorney's office has reviewed all the documents and had found them to be in order. Appropriate $217,339 and approve a purchase order to Miracle Playground Sales to purchase the splash pad equipment and enclosure. appropriate $22,975 and approve a contract amendment to RHA Landscape Architects and Planners Incorporated to develop construction drawings for the splash pad. The entire project requires an additional appropriation of $1,027,381 from the unappropriated reserves of the Park Fund, with a year-end transfer of $226,293 from the Commercial Industrial Park DIF, and appropriation of $452,585 from the General Fund reserves. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carolyn. Anyone like to address the city council on this item? Okay, seeing none. Council comments? Go ahead, Paul.
I just wanted to confirm it's going to be ready for the summer for the kids to use.
Yes, the plan is for the project to be completed mid-July.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. It's very positive for that community there. And it's, for me, I think it's outstanding. Yes, I agree with that.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, same comments. I want to commend the staff for the foresight of knowing that this was degraded, the splash pad, and we were already going forward, I know, with the structure and the restrooms, and to see that this was an opportunity to go ahead and make the improvements to the splash pad. I'll be quite honest, when I look at things like $1.8 million, I shriek, you know, like, whoa. But I know you mentioned the funding sources, but you didn't go into the details of that in terms of there is a huge grant associated with that, almost $700,000, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've offset some of those utilizing park development funds, and then out of the general fund is, you know, a mere nearly, you know, $500,000 certainly is a significant, but I agree with Paul, it's a great area for a park over there, and I think, you know, the consideration for a pool and those kind of things would just be, you know, maintenance and outrageous, but I've been by that park many occasions, and they just utilize it like crazy during the summer. So
I wanted to add one thing too. There was a school there, and I attended there.
Really?
Even my father attended there, and right next door was my grandparents' property, and it's still being occupied.
Yeah.
So there was a big old building there that made really good chocolate chip cookies. They delivered to the whole district at a nickel.
Yeah. There you go. Well, those days are gone, unfortunately. But yeah, that particular park gets during the summer gets a lot of people, a lot of kids and a lot of adults in that park. It's one of our older parks, and right pretty much in the center of our city. Exactly. So with that, I'd entertain a motion. Okay, it's moved by Councilmember Lucio, second by Councilmember Rodriguez, and it passes with 4 yes and 1 absent. All right, great. Okay, moving right along here to number 13, our Community Development Block Grant, better known as CDBG, Alley Pavement Improvements, project number MS-161 and MS-162. Award a contract to Pulp, Inc., DBA Excel Paving Company for the CDBG area, alley pavement improvements. Our report tonight by Maria Frazier, our Civil Engineering Manager. Maria?
This is not going on. There we go. Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and council members and audience. The city was awarded $817,000 in CDBG funds. In 2016, staff developed 2 projects, MS-161, dedicated to accessible ramps and sidewalk improvements and upgrades, and MS-162, dedicated to street light upgrades. On August 1st, 2017, council awarded both projects and design began. The design consisted of 22 accessible ramps. 10 out of the 22 were identified as requiring right-of-way acquisitions, which is a very lengthy process, as we all know. The CDBG funds dedicated to the 2 projects were subject to lapse and needed to be spent by March of this year. Consequently, in order to meet CDBG's schedule that allows for the use of the funds, staff created an alley pavement rehabilitation project within that same CDBG area. Staff selected 6 alleys that could potentially receive the pavement rehabilitation and accessible ramps, all of which would improve the drainage and overall aesthetics of the CDBG area. For bidding purposes and in an effort to maximize the use of the available CDBG funds, the projects were structured into a base bid project, which consisted of alleys 1, 2, and 3. On your screen, alley 1, and on the next screen, probably 2, 3, and 4. And 2 additive schedules. Schedule A, which consisted of alley number 5, and Schedule B of another alley number 6, which neither one are shown on the screen. The project specs were prepared, and a notice of inviting bids was published on January 8th of this year. And 6 bids were received and opened on January 29th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Pulp Inc., doing business as Excel Paving Company of Long Beach, California, was deemed the lowest responsible bidder, with a total base bid in the amount of $299,992. Therefore, staff recommends awarding Excel Paving Company the construction of the improvements for alleys 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the amount of $299,992. Authorized expenditures up to $30,000 for construction management, $150,000 for, $15,000 for inspection, $30,000 for construction contingencies, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. That concludes my report, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Maria. Anyone like to address the city council on this item? Anybody? Okay. Not? How about council comments? Anybody have a comment about this?
Well, I just want to say I'm excited that we're actually going to start doing some work on some of our older alleys. They're really in dire need of some work. I've looked at some of the ones that they're proposing to do, especially the longer one, the first one that they pointed out. That one's really in some need of repairs. And my understanding is we're going to continue to do this year after year and continue to improve the alleys. So that's, and I know in walking, a lot of the complaints were that the alleys were in bad shape. So I'm glad that we're starting to invest some money in our neighborhoods there and making some improvements.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Lucio. It takes time to rebuild and to repave different alleys and so forth. It's a very positive thing,
right?
You know, to be able to upgrade. You're upgrading the area.
Right.
So it's very good for the community, very good for the residents. So
Right.
I agree, very positive. It's about time.
Yeah, well, I can tell you,
It takes time too.
How old are those alleys? Are they?
They're old.
Are they the original 1910 alleys from the city? I mean, you're talking. I drive down those alleys occasionally, and boy, I tell you, my tires are just feeling it. And I'm glad to see that we're eventually, we've gotten, part of our waste management contract was them giving us money per year to do alley work. So I'm looking forward, we're all looking forward to seeing our alleys improved over the next few years. So that's very exciting.
Even to add to what Tom is saying, waste management would collect the waste in the alleys.
Right, they still do.
Yeah, and some areas they still do.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's
that'll help the trash trucks.
Oh yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of them are not too wide. But wide
No,
enough for the
exactly,
trucks.
exactly. Okay.
That's good.
So how about entertaining a motion for that? Okay, so we have Mark Hargrove made the motion, second by Mark Lucio, and the vote is in, 4 yes, 1 absent. Okay, so it passes. And now we'll go to number 14, award of contract for re-sodding of sports fields. Award a contract to Southern California Landscape, Inc. in Fontana in the amount of $152,862.60 to resolder soccer fields at Ayala Park, and $15,286 for extraordinary work, for a total vendor cap not to exceed $168,000. Our staff report from David Maccabee, Public Works Service Manager. David?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. The Public Works Department is responsible for maintaining the city's parks, which also includes sports field maintenance. Our soccer, softball, and baseball fields are subjected to extreme wear and tear over the years. Resodding and renovation of the fields is necessary to continue to provide a safe and high-quality playing surface. Specifications were prepared and a notice inviting bids was properly solicited on December 19, 2018. On January 10th, 2019, the city received 6 sealed bids. Southern California Landscape Incorporated of Fontana, California was determined to be the lowest, most responsive, and responsible bidder for all 3 bid schedules regarding the resodding of the soccer, softball, and baseball fields. Scheduled for resodding this fiscal year will be 1 soccer field at Ayala Park. Additional sports fields identified in bid schedules 1 through 3 will be scheduled for resodding in upcoming fiscal years. Therefore, staff recommends accepting all bid schedules and awarding a contract to Southern California Landscape Incorporated in the amount of $152,862.60. Staff is also requesting authorization to spend up to $15,286.26 for extraordinary work for a total vendor cap not to exceed $168,148.86. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, just a quick comment before I open the public meeting. How long does the sodding usually last? Because I know these fields get a tremendous amount of play.
They do. The fields that we're working on now are over almost 12 years old.
Okay.
But really, the life expectancy is about 5 years.
Right. So we do really good. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you for that. Before I get to the council, I'd like to open this up to the public. Anybody wishing to comment on our resodding at Ayala Park? Okay. If not, any comments? Paul?
Grass needs to be resod. And it's used quite a bit with the soccer and softball and all the different
Right.
activities. So it's good maintenance and it's good aesthetically for the city overall.
Right. Yeah.
Very good. I agree.
You bet. Anybody else? Yeah, I used to play softball at Ayala Park for many, many years on the softball fields, and I can remember I used to play the outfield. And those fields over the years, and you had to be careful when you were running for a ball. You didn't turn an ankle or something like that. So, and it's amazing how much play Ayala Park gets for our youth, so and for our adults also.
Yes.
So, okay, entertain a motion. Okay, we've got a motion from Councilmember Lucio, a second from Councilmember Rodriguez, and the vote is in. It passes with 4 yes and 1 absent. Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to mayor and council reports. This is the time and the place for the mayor and council members to report on pre-scheduled council assignments that were held since our last meeting 3 weeks ago. So I'll start off with let's see, on the 17th of January, I attended the Water Facilities Authority Board meeting in the morning at 7:30, and we discussed all the different things about the water facilities budget and some other different things there. On the 24th, I attended the Chino DeSalter Authority CDA Finance meeting. That was on the 24th. And then later that night, I attended the Chino Chamber of Commerce annual mixer at Citizens Commercial Bank and it was very well attended. There was a lot of people there, a lot of food. The chamber, that's the best chamber meeting of the year, I think, is that annual meeting over there. And I know that I think the mayor and Mr. Ballantyne, you had a previous engagement. You had to be somewhere else and couldn't attend that one. And then on January 30th, it was time for the annual Student Government Day. And for the Don Lugo students in the audience tonight, we had the student mayor was from, I believe she was from Don Lugo. And we had a number of students, high school students, come learn about how government works. And they spent the whole day and then wound up at Don Lugo. And they got a whole picture with the police chief and all the different departments. Student Government Day is great for the kids, and that was on the 30th. Also, that night I attended the Prado planning meeting in Chino Hills, and the different things that the county would like to do at Prado Park. It's a very huge, ambitious number of things, but pretty spectacular as they do these public meetings. If you get a chance, attend the public meeting, because they have a lot of ideas and they want to hear from the public what people could do at Prado Park. Even though it has a lot of activities, has camping, it's hundreds and hundreds of acres down there. And if you go down to the park, you feel like you've gotten out of the city. And there's a lot of different events that they'd like to, things that they'd like to do down there. So hopefully the next meeting is going to be in Chino, and we've already announced that earlier this evening. Last but not least, is the Russ Miller Run that I attended last week in the rain. Usually they get about 1,000 runners for the 5K right out here in front of the old courthouse. But it was raining, and I didn't know how many people were going to show up. Council member Lucio was there with the mayor, and we braved the rain, although it wasn't that much of a brave. We stayed under the canopy quite a bit, and we didn't run. But there was still 300 or 400 runners out there braving the elements. I guess rain doesn't mean a whole lot to runners. They just get out there and run, and it was very impressive. And it had been 19 years since our officer was killed in the line of duty, and they've raised a lot of money for a lot of good causes from this particular event. So if you missed it, next year in February, first Saturday in February, you'll have your chance to get to the Russ Miller Run. Okay, that concludes my comments, and we'll go to Councilmember Hargrove.
All right, thank you. Quickly, January 21st, I attended the Chino Planning Commission meeting, my first meeting as liaison for that.
Yeah.
Short agenda, nothing that I recall that was concerning or spectacular in that. January 22nd, I attended the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors meeting. Something I haven't or wouldn't typically attend, but it's interesting. Chino Valley's businesses and the board of directors and all that they do they seem to really be getting membership up with a lot of businesses, right, which is terrific. Hopefully that continues, and we'll do our best to help them support that. And then the 23rd, I attended the Chino Rotary meeting as a guest. I guess when you run into Zeb Wellborn, you get invited to a lot of things,
right?
Yeah, terrific guy. Enjoyed that. And then I guess maybe I'll venture out maybe even to, if I can get up that early and go to the Chino del Rotary, just to check it out.
Rancho del Chino.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you at the Rotary
thanks.
Club. Absolutely.
Great. So then January 24th, attended the League of California Cities, the Inland Empire Division meeting. Missed the mixer due to that, but
right, that's what it was.
a lot of people. Well, there was some attendance, but was told that I guess Randall Lewis, they had an event for him that night. They were somewhere else, so small crowd, a lot of food. Got to try to pile it in our pockets and take it home, and anyways. January 30th through the February 1st, last week, Wednesday through Thursday, I was happy to attend the League of California Cities new council member and new mayor's conference. A lot of great information. Took some of those mandatory courses, and I felt like I was back at a job attending a conference. So, it was interesting information, but had great company with other board council members. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Councilmember Lucio.
Yes, January 17th, I attended the Chino Valley Unified School District meeting. And that meeting, the new board ended up voting against continuing on with their lawsuit regarding prayer in school. I also, on the 18th, I attended a meeting with representatives from Senator Connie Leva's office, as well as representatives from the League of California Cities. Later on that evening, I attended a meeting with Congresswoman Norma Torres, who wanted to point out that out of the 12 people that she has appointed to the military academies, 5 of them have come from Chino, and she just wanted to point that out, that we have a lot of good kids. But she also wants to make sure that we push that out, starting in the junior highs at 7th grade, for kids to start thinking about the military academies and start working towards that. On the 24th, I attended an infrastructure committee meeting when we went over the improvements that were going to be done to Monte Vista Park. It's a great idea. The drawings, you'll be very impressed, and once the park's done, it's going to be something that's going to be enjoyed by that community around there. It's going to be a big attraction, I think, in the coming future. Later on that night, I attended the League of California Cities Inland Empire Division meeting in Rancho Cucamonga. They had training there regarding active shooters. They had police and fire there. I talked about trauma kits and tourniquets and applications. And in talking to the city manager, he says that Chino is well prepared for this. It's something that the police department trains with. It's something that they've pushed out. And so based on the conversation I've had with him, I feel really, really confident that we're addressing those issues and that we're staying ahead. On the 25th, I attended a meeting with the American Cancer Society network, and they wanted to basically talk about messaging the Latino community, talking about secondhand smoke, and pretty much they wanted to send the message to our multi-unit housing. That we're still having a dialogue as to really what they would like to have a conversation with the city about. I know that trying to enforce secondhand smoking or smoking outside of a building is something that it's hard to enforce, but they wanted to push out some sort of public campaign. So in that kind of sense, I would support it. But as far as us enforcing smoking laws in apartment buildings, I think it would be difficult. On the 28th, I attended the Community Service Commission meeting, introduced myself because it was the first meeting that I have attended, and there was really nothing to report out of that. From the 30th to February 1st, we attended the League of California Cities New Mayors and Council Members Academy in Irvine. Some of the topics that they covered were the Brown Act and then some of the things on social media regarding public officials. It was definitely eye-opening. I didn't realize some of the things that basically apply to us now as public officials, but it was definitely a learning experience to sit in on that. It was well worth it. And on the 2nd, I attended the Run for Russ, and I just wanted to thank the LA County Sheriff's Department as well as the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for sending their academy recruits out. It always warms my heart being in law enforcement to see the academies running and singing as they're running. It just I think it fires everybody up, and it really brings home the fact that we're remembering one of our fallen brothers that died in the line of duty. So I just wanted to thank them for that, and that's going to end my report.
All right. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Okay, I covered many of the activities and events that my fellow council members did, so I'll keep mine very brief. I started off with January 21st with the Martin Luther King annual breakfast celebration here in Ontario. Very well attended. I had never been to the event, and it was very good to reminisce and to see how we have progressed as a society towards equity for everyone. So it was very good. The next day, 22nd, part of SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments, I am part of the technology committee. So that's brand new. So it's going to be very, very interesting because it will introduce us to not only technology that is happening now, but technology that is still in the blueprints. So I'm very excited to be able to be in that committee, to be able to, in the future, to contribute and to learn more from the different areas and different conferences that they're going to give us. I too attended the League of Cities on the 24th. First responders presentations for conducting and addressing terrorists in cities, and also for any type of earthquake disasters that we may have or natural disasters was very interesting. And these guys really put themselves on the line. Not guys, but probably everyone are on the line. So it's very, very interesting what they do, and my hat goes off to them. Very, very good. Again, I was with my fellow council members. We attended the League of cities in Irvine. Thank you, Matt, for driving. We didn't get stuck too badly in the orange crunch right there on 91. So, but it was a lot of information, very, very positive. We learned a lot, I think, quite a bit. Going to February 1st, I was able to come back and attend the celebration for the senior citizens. And it's always so nice to be there to celebrate with them and to wish them not only a happy day, but to enjoy all their contributions they've given to not only to our society, but even to their families. So it's very positive. February 4th, which was yesterday, I attended. I'm part of the committee for the RENA, which is the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. And as we know, SB, or Senate Bill 1, with the new governor, is mandating that there's going to be possibilities that lands be developed that are affordable and also fair for people. And when you think about it, it's going to be tackling a lot of issues that we have now in society. Homelessness, the ability for people to buy homes that are going to be reasonable and affordable. So it's very good. And even for young folks, those that we're losing workers, young workers that get trained here and they can't afford a home, so where do they go? Utah, New Mexico. So that's going to open up a whole different way of looking at housing and how we will look at new zoning and planning for the city. And it's exciting to see that this will help our society and our inland empire. And this is not it's a crisis, just not only here, but throughout the state and even nationally. I happen to be also in Canada. In Canada, the Canadians are also having a big concern with housing. So let's see what happens. It's still in the blueprints, so it's exciting to do that. Following that, I attended quickly in San Bernardino the Dorothy Ingram Learning Center in San Bernardino, which is very needed, I think, to continue to push for enlightening and educating our youth to become future leaders of our society.
Right.
So it's very good. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, how about city manager report?
I have no report.
Okay, how about city attorney?
No report either, thank you.
In the Russ Miller run, the chief was out running. I was very impressed with you in the rain. You ran it. Congratulations. I don't know what your time was, but was it pretty
wasn't
good?
quite as fast as Mr. I want to say, was it Vincent Ramirez?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, who finished in 17 minutes and 31
Yeah,
seconds.
you didn't get 17 minutes?
No, not even
Oh.
close, sir.
Darn.
That
Next year.
Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, I just want to thank you for your kind comments about the Russ Miller 5K. I want to say at our last count, we had 973 registered runners for the run, with, believe it or not, 499 coming across the finish line.
Wow.
And that doesn't count the academies that Councilman Lucio
Oh, it
has
doesn't
spoken
count?
about.
Wow.
No, they normally don't send the entire academy through the chute. Would just be, create too much of a delay for runners who are actually trying to run for their time.
Yeah.
And it was just a great turnout, and I think it's a testament to how committed this community is to their local law enforcement and the support that we continue to provide to keep the memory of Russ alive. One of the things I've talked about, in our agency is there's very few of us that actually worked with Russ. I'm one of those people that did, and we're constantly trying to pass on to the next generation of employees about Russ's sacrifice and that it wasn't in vain. And thank you, Councilman Lucio, for your kind comments tonight. It is very nice. It was heartwarming to see those academies that they're doing push-ups and saying, thank you, Officer Russ. It always gets to me too on the route. And the route's particularly special to me as well because of the memorial that is there. That was partially sponsored by the Fruing family, at U.S. Bowling. So thank you to them as well. And then Councilman Lucio, to your comments about the Congresswoman Torres. We have hosted the military academy education session at the Chino Police Department in the past. The Congresswoman was so happy with the turnout there that she has agreed to host it at our agency in the future. So we've been honored to host it there. As well as we've had a lot of participation from our local Explorer posts with Chino Hills and us and others. So we like to invite our explorers to come and explore the idea of attending a military academy. And that concludes my report for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. And how about Tim Shackelford, our fire chief? Looks like he's going to come up and make some comments. All right.
Mayor Pro Tem Howie, members of the council, good evening. Just a brief report for you this evening. Next month, the fire district will be transitioning dispatch services to Com Center, which is in Rialto. We're excited about this transition as it's really going to open the door for some enhancement of technology for us. One exciting piece is Pulse Point, which is a free app that's available to the public, and it's timely as this is American Heart Health Awareness Month. Pulse Point is a app, again, that's free to the public. Anyone that's been trained in CPR can download that app, and they will receive a notification, and if they're in the vicinity of someone that's in need in cardiac arrest, they can provide CPR assistance till first responders arrive. We'll be pushing out more information as that transition occurs and the app is up and running. And that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. And I think that just about concludes everything. And to the Don Lugo students, I hope you had a chance to see how government works. And you'll be able to report back to the school. And with that, we are adjourned. Oh, let's see, the next meeting, hang on. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, February the 15th, 2019 at 7 p.m.
Before you
Closed session at
adjourn,
6.
sorry to interrupt, before you adjourn, we have to recess back into
Oh,
closed
that's
session.
right. We're going to recess back into closed session. All right. Thank you. We're out of closed session. Fred?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. The City Council met in closed session and held a discussion on conference with real property negotiators concerning the multiple APN addresses identified on the closed session agenda, with the negotiating party being Majestic Realty Company in Orange County Flood Control District. City Council received an update to the status of those negotiations, provided direction, and no further reportable action was taken. That
Okay.
concludes the closed session report.
Thank you, Fred. And we can adjourn the council meeting. That concludes our evening. Thank you.